Hey guys, and welcome back to the Ecom Freedom YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about something a little different. We're going to be talking about air versus sea shipping as well as your InCoTerms, namely Xworks and delivered duty paid, or DDP. Stick around to the end of the video where I give you guys a little bit of a hack in comparison to air versus sea shipping and fast sea shipping. I'm gonna go into a little bit of detail what fast shipping is and how you can kind of avail that. So without further ado, we're gonna start off the video with talking about Xworks and DDP shipping, and we're gonna go over all the InCoTerms just in general so you guys know, but the only ones you really need to know for e-commerce in general and getting inventory from China to the United States or, Canada, Europe, or wherever the case may be, we only really need to worry about Xworks and delivered duty paid, because everything else in between is kind of mishmash and there's no real need for it, and the cost savings of it is just not going to be worth the hassle. So I'm going to jump into the computer here and we're just going to kind of take a bird's eye view of this. All right, guys. So as you know, from 2020 to 2021, shipping from China to the United States, or America for that matter, has been an absolute headache. The shipping times have just been out of pocket. Like, you're looking at just 3 months to 4 months to get your inventory from the China port to the United States port in, let's just say, Long Beach, LA area. As we get further into 2022, so it's April, late April 2022 right now, we are seeing things clear up a bit and we are seeing shipping times increase. So with that, I thought it'd be a great idea to kind of brush you guys up on your InCoTerms and what I recommend, what we recommend at Ecom Freedom for InCoTerms, basically weigh the cost benefit analysis of Xworks and DDP. So I'm just going to kind of go through the InCoTerms here. So from an Xworks perspective, on the supplier side, if you ask for an Xworks quote, they're going to give you the quote for just your product, so just your units. So let's just say I'm purchasing AirPods off my supplier in China, right? Let's just say I have 8 cartons of AirPods or 8 pallets of AirPods. I want to get an Xworks quote from my supplier. So what does that entail? They're just going to give me the quote for them to manufacture the units, put it all together in pallets per se, or cartons, or whatever the case may be. And they're going to be like, hey, okay, it's your responsibility from here. Get this inventory from our warehouse to the United States, wherever your warehouse may be. Let's just say you're shipping it to the Amazon fulfillment centers. So let's use Dallas FTW1 as an example here. It is your responsibility to get it from here to here. The supplier wants nothing to do with it. So that kind of sounds a bit daunting, right? When the supplier's like, okay, it's on you to do this, but it's really not the case. If you get a freight forwarder on your side, so I'll tell you the freight forwarder that we use at Ecom Freedom at the end of the video, and we will recommend it to you guys as well, and you guys can avail of it. They are fantastic. I use them. Andrew uses them. Dan uses them. Most of the team uses this freight forwarder, and they are fantastic. We're after having millions of dollars go through this freight forwarder, so they are very loyal to us. It isn't that scary to use Xworks because your freight forwarder is going to go to the warehouse. So for example, I text my freight forwarder on WeChat, hey guys, I have about, 16 pallets that need to be picked up in Fujian. I need them delivered to my warehouse in Nevada. Can you guys arrange that? Basically, what they do is they're going to be like, okay, Jeff, we'll pick up the units. We'll get them to your warehouse in Nevada. You worry about nothing. If I have a freight forwarder on my side, they're going to worry about the customs bonds. They're going to worry about, all the declarations that need to be done, the actual customs that I need to pay. They are worrying about all that. They're handling all the paperwork. It's basically the exact same as what your supplier would do in a DDP model. Why would we use DDP over Xworks? What is the advantage of using DDP over Xworks? I guess like the long and short of it is when it comes to delivered duties paid, so I'm just gonna, briefly go over what delivered duties paid is. Basically, you tell your supplier, hey guys, I want DDP. I don't wanna worry about anything. I don't wanna get a freight forwarder on the go. You guys use your freight forwarder, just get it to the destination. So there's a couple of things that you kind of need to consider when doing this. So if you do delivered duties paid with your supplier, as you all know, shipping rates are very volatile lately. So the last month, 2 months, 3 months, even the last few years, shipping rates have gone from $4,000 for a container, 40-foot container, to up to $15,000, $20,000. I seen it at one point for a 40-foot container. So your supplier is going to actually accommodate that volatility into their quote. right? So that makes sense. You know, you ask for a quote for, let's just say 1,000 units, DDP. Your supplier looks at the Freight OS index, the global index, basically the rates to get your inventory from China to the United States. It's essentially, it looks like a stock. It's just a line that goes. I will show you it. It's right here. Basically, you're going to want to go to the East, China, East Asia to North America, West Coast. And as you can see, it's 15K here right now. So they're going to go into that. They are going to weigh the volatility. So they're going to build the volatility into your price. They don't want to get stung. They're going to assume that the cargo is, you know, going to increase by, like, let's just say 10-15%. Whereas if you have an Xworks quote off your supplier and you have a freight forwarder on your side, your freight forwarder is going to check the day of. So you're going to get the real-time rate of what the actual container cost is to get your inventory from China to the United States. So you're not going to pay for that cushion of volatility. And if you have a freight forwarder on your side, there is also the additive layer of, you know, peace of mind. So for example, I did DDP for about a year as well. So I'm guilty of using that as well. And it's really good for starters. It's just quick and easy. You don't really need to deal with anything. But if you have a freight forwarder on your side, you can text them whenever you really want. Hey guys, where's my inventory right now? Oh, Jeff, it's on this container in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You're looking at about 4 days before it gets to berth, which is basically where the ship just parks at the loading docks and it gets unloaded. You're looking at about 2 weeks before our truck kind of picks it up and brings it to your warehouse. So if you're using DDP, you then need to go to your supplier, who is not a freight forwarder. Your supplier then needs to go to their freight forwarder, ask, hey guys, what's the update? And then they need to go back to you. And it's just a little bit of a logistical nightmare. You know, you have that middleman of your supplier there the whole time, which is just a little bit of a pain. Whereas if you have a freight forwarder, you could just text them, hey guys, where's this stuff? What's the time frame we're looking at? And they can just give you real time. So for example, if your inventory is getting offloaded or, you know, waiting for the truck to pick it up, they can give you the real time on that. Whereas, you know, if you have the middleman of the supplier in the way, 2-3 days before you get an answer there. So I'll just skim over the rest of the InCoTerms for you guys. So these are all, like, this is a great visual aid here that kind of shows you exactly what you need to pay for with each term. So first you have Xworks. This is the one I just went over. This is one I genuinely recommend, but you need to have a freight forwarder on your side, which I will give you the details to my freight forwarder at the end of the video. Basically, this is the one I recommend, and I think it is the best. So then you have SCA. So this is free carrier. And as you can see here, it goes from seller, first carrier, alongside ship, loading port, and then it's being shipped. This is the destination port alongside. This is basically where the cargo is held, the warehouse that it's held before the truck comes and picks it up. This is your warehouse, and this is the final buyer. Free carrier, they're gonna get it to the loading dock, essentially in China. FAS, I don't know. I don't really use these terms. Usually it's Xworks, freight on board, delivered at port, delivered duties paid. So all these ones in between aren't really used. So freight on board is used a lot. So if you use freight on board, you're gonna be like, hey guys, I want a freight on board quote. So this is not going to take in the volatility of what I just explained of, you know, shipping rates. They're going to get, or it's free on board, same thing. They're essentially going to get your inventory from their warehouse onto the ship in the China port, right? So in that case, you're not paying for that volatility of prices. So a lot of people do use free on board. And then you have cost and freight, CFR, CIF, cost, insurance, and freight, cost paid to, CIP, carrier insurance paid to, delivered at place unloaded, deliver at place, delivered duties paid. So the only three that you should be considering using when it comes to e-commerce and, you know, logistics in general are Xworks, freight on board, and delivered duties paid. I think Xworks is the nominal one, or paramount. Free on board is a close second. So without further ado, I'm gonna chat with you guys a little bit about sea versus air freight, and basically we're gonna break down the cost benefit analysis of both, and I'm gonna give you my opinion on which one I recommend in 2022 and beyond. All right. Okay, guys. So for the second half of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about air versus ocean freight and why use one over the other and, you know, what I kind of recommend. Air freight is going to be a lot. So I'm just going to give you guys the cliff notes. So air freight is going to be a lot quicker when it comes to ocean freight, but obviously with quick comes expensive, right? So at the end, or towards the end of the video, I'm going to go through a little example here of what I mean about the differences in price comparison and how you can kind of get your supply chain to a point where you don't need to be reliant on air freight. So a general rule of thumb is air freight is best when the cost of shipping is less than 15 to 20% of the value of goods. To a lot of the students, I say that, okay, the only way that you would use air freight is if you're shipping iPhones or, gold blocks that are selling for $1,000 a piece and they have their volumetric weight is very small. So that's the thing that the air freight and ocean freight, they're going to go off volumetric weight. So what is that? So let's just say I have a humongous cardboard box. Let's say it's 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet, but it's filled with confetti, right? So it has no real weight to it, like pounds per se, but its volumetric weight is pretty big, right? So it's going to take up a lot of space in a container. So that is the weight that they are going to consider when they are giving you the quotes. So they're going to take whichever weight is more, the actual physical weight or the volumetric weight. Some things that you need to consider when you are using air freight and if you use air freight. Things that are prohibited are, toxic and corrosive materials such as batteries, magnetic substances such as speakers, and obviously, chemicals and things of that nature. So let's just talk a little bit about the transit times for air shipping versus sea shipping. With air shipping, you can get anywhere from 2 to 4 days and 7 to 14 days. Sea shipping is usually a little less forgiving. You're looking at slow sea shipping is going to be around 30 to 60 days. Usually it's the latter. I've seen as long as 90 days in the past year, probably even 100 days, because, the ports in LA and Long Beach were very, very backed up and they are only starting to get a hang on that now. That's not to say that I haven't shipped with sea and gotten it there very quick. I actually use fast sea shipping. It's April 20th now. I sent these units off March 15th of 2022, and they got checked into my warehouse in Nevada. I think it was April 6th. They were delivered on UPS. A little more than 3 weeks of shipping time by sea. So I'm going to talk about how I did that in a bit here. We're just going to run through a little example here of some rates that you would probably get. So the scenario that we're going to use here is we have 240 cartons. We're going to say that's around 8 pallets. I know it is because this is one of the products that I have. We're going to use a less than container load. So basically we have a full container load and a less than container load. Most containers are either 20 foot, 40 foot. 40 foot container is usually around 15K. It is right now. It was as low as 4K back in the day, probably 2-3 years ago, but that is obviously going to be a lot more expensive than a less than container load, where most of you guys are going to be starting out with, because you're not going to be filling up a 40-foot container on your first order. So the dimensions of this unit are 19 by 16 by 8. This is the carton dimensions, not the unit dimensions. In a carton, I have 8 units. For the interest of freight forwarders, they are going to say units, but it actually means cartons. So just keep that in mind. And the weight of each carton is 26 pounds. So these are some services that you're gonna kind of want to have just for peace of mind when you're shipping with a freight forwarder. Yes, add a lift gate after delivery. Yes, I need customs brokerage. Yes, I need a customs bond. Yes, you want insurance that will cover up to 500K in costs, right? This is all standard stuff that your freight forwarder is going to assume on your behalf. So it kind of gets rid of all this nitty gritty paperwork that you would have to figure out if you didn't have a freight forwarder on your side. Let's see what the prices came out to be here. So if we're gonna go with slow sea shipping here, we're looking at around 4K for this shipment, which is generally pretty good, right? So this ends up being around 920 units, I believe it was 960 units, which is pretty good. The price point of this product is around 50 units or $50. I think I factor in around $1 a unit, $2 a unit, right, for shipping, which isn't bad, right? At a $50 unit, around $12 to source it, you're in $14 landed cost, right? So it has a decent profit margin after PPC, Amazon fees, all this kind of mumbo jumbo. We're left with around $15 a unit profit. Look at the quickest air shipping here. You're looking at 40K. How do you make any money off that, right? So like I said, right, unless you're shipping golden blocks or, iPhones or, whatever the case may be, it doesn't really make sense to use air shipping. So this is the fast air shipping. This is the longer one down here. We're looking at 30K for the cheapest one, right? Even that is very, very expensive. $30,000 to get your inventory from China to the US. And that's what I mean in, like, you know, weighing the cost benefit of it. Okay, it takes, let's just say it takes 70 days for us to ship it by sea, right? Are you going to make, and that's 4,000, and the cheapest air shipping was 30K. Are you gonna make 26K in profit in that, you know, 45-day window of the difference in shipping? Probably not on your first order. So it makes zero sense to, you know, use air shipping off the hop. Granted, some people have the argument of splitting up the shipment, half, you know, a third by air, 2/3 by sea. I still don't see any value in it. Wait it out. Learn all the other nitty gritties when it comes to e-commerce, you know, advertising. You got TikTok ads, you got Google ads, you got Instagram ads, you got Facebook ads, you have a website to design, you have all this kind of stuff to figure out while your inventory is on the ship that you want to get figured out before you actually launch. So I think it's good in multiple ways to kind of use, you know, sea shipping off the hop. So with that, how did I get my inventory to Amazon by sea within 3 weeks? I actually use a freight forwarder called For Shipping. They have 2 offers, or well, they have 3. They can do air, sea, fast sea. So air, obviously I just showed you, very similar to what Freight OS has to offer here. Sea, standard, 30 to 60 to, you know, 90 days. So anywhere from a month to 3 months to get it there. The problem with sea, and slow sea for that matter, with a less than container load, is that this ship is going to stop at multiple ports before it gets to its final destination in the US, right? Because it wants to fill up these containers. It probably has a couple containers to drop off in, you know, Oregon, Seattle, Long Beach before it gets to your final destination in, let's say, LA, right? It's really the luck of the draw. It takes a little longer when it gets dropped off to clear customs. It's not prioritized. It takes a little longer for the trucks to come pick it up, because usually it's your freight forwarder's truck that is going to come pick it up in a, you know, 18-wheeler, whatever the case may be. Fast sea shipping, it's going to go direct from the port in China to the destination port. So what is this destination port? It's Matson. So you're going to pay a little extra, but nothing in comparison to air freight. So I use fast sea shipping, and fast sea shipping, it zooms through customs because it's prioritized. UPS is going to pick it up and drop it off at your final destination. What is the difference in price when it comes to fast sea shipping? For example, this order that costed me 4K in slow sea shipping right here, I had to pay double that to get it there in 3 weeks. Why did I do that? Because my inventory for this particular ASIN was running very, very low. It's out of stock right now. Or not right now, but it was about a week ago before I got my stock in by Fast Sea. But it was well worth me to pay that extra 4K than to be out of stock for an extra 2 months, right? You know what I mean? I would have lost a lot more money being out of stock for 2 months than I would have kind of saved that $4,000 on the shipping. So it made complete sense to me there from the cost benefit analysis. But I never do that. I usually have my logistic supply chains sorted out. When you launch a new product, it's probably not going to be the case because you want to prove demand, right? So once you prove your demand, you can do your inventory forecasting and be like, okay, I'm going to run out of stock here. If I do fast sea, I should be able to get it in at the tail end. If I do slow, I'm going to be out of stock for 2 months, whatever the case may be. But when you get your supply chain sorted out, right, you can have your stock in, and then when it gets there, you put in another order with your supplier right away. So as soon as that stock ends, you have, you know, the 3-month backlog of your inventory on the ship already on the way to Amazon. It will get there to give you that leeway so you don't go out of stock, right? This is why I don't really recommend air shipping. When you get your supply chain in order, all the pieces will fall together and slow sea will be completely fine. So who's our freight forwarder? Who do we use? How do we get our stuff there? What does Ecom Freedom recommend as a freight forwarder? We recommend For Shipping. They are fantastic. Been using them for years. I've been using them. Andrew's been using them. Dan's been using them. 3 of us have $1 million brands on Amazon, Shopify, Etsy, you know, Walmart, whatever the case may be, revenue channels, and they do a fantastic job from a communication perspective. I can text them any day of the week. They'll get back to me by the end of the day, or, you know, whenever they're awake, and they will let me know on the status updates of my shipments, and I couldn't recommend them high enough. So I'm gonna link a Google form in the description of this video for you guys to fill out if you want to get quotes off for shipping. And yeah, if you guys found this video helpful, I'd appreciate a like or a thumbs up. And if you guys could subscribe to the channel, that would be great, because we are dropping value every other week, or every week for that matter. Sometimes it's Shopify, sometimes it's Amazon. If you guys want access to the Ecom Freedom Amazon course, I have the free trial in the bio of this video. Basically, this is going to be a 7-day free trial. You get access to the first 3 modules for free. So what do you get access to with the actual subscription of the course? You get access to the mentors, you get access to me, Andrew, access to the Facebook community, you get access to the product check. So this is where me and Andrew kind of, give you very criticized feedback on your product submissions. It's a no bullshit policy with us. If you guys submit a crap product, we're going to tell you that it's a crap product. The biggest thing that we strive for these days in e-commerce, and Amazon for that matter, is having a competitive advantage, coming to the market and giving your customer a reason to buy your product over the competition. If you guys cannot convey to me and Andrew in the product checks that why a customer will buy your product over a competing product or over the competition, we're not going to give it our stamp of approval, because you're going to be paying, good hard-earned money for this course, and looks bad on us, looks bad on you, looks bad on, everybody in general. So you get access to that as very valuable. We have the proven track record. We both run $1 million brands on Amazon and our other revenue channels. So if you want access to that, the free trial is in the description of the video. Thank you guys so much for coming on, and we will see you next week. Cheers, guys.